it's tricky to figure out like what's going to motivate you once you get past, you know, like if you know people in your life who like sell drugs, I mean, those people are trying to like make $100,000 or make a couple $100,000 every year, period. Because it's tough to keep doing that over year after year. Once you actually have built something that's really bringing in money, then your motivation sort of has to become more accurately stated. Because, you know, if I had just been hustling my whole life, I mean, hustling's dope, but it's not building something.
I would say hustling is dope for what it is, but in real life, hustling is not dope. I would discourage, and I do in my personal life, anybody from hustling. Bro, so I found, when I went legitimate, I found that anything I did in that prior life was now null and void. You can't apply that money to anything. Mm-hmm. You cannot become a real human being. You cannot be a real adult. You can't, I mean, sure, if you clean it or whatever, you add steps, you're spending tax money anyway. It's the same as taxes. You might as well go legitimate, build credit, build a fortune, build an empire, do something real, you know, own real estate, own a business. The more real of a person you are, the more access to more real things you can have in life. Right. You cannot lease an exotic car usually when you're selling drugs, right? How can you apply for the loan? Mm-hmm. If you're a cash man, you have no bank account, they're like, you can't prove you'll pay us back. We're not giving you a loan. Now you're stuck paying cash for the car. And even then, you know, if the IRS sees you flexing in a Lambo, they're gonna be like, bro, how do you have a Lambo? You have no job.
Getting $1 million in cash illegally and then having to like figure out what to do with it is like such a complicated fucking problem. It's like a prison in and of itself because it's like you have it, but you can't really spend it in any other ways that you would be intelligent to spend it. Although you could also probably just like put it in crypto and then pretty much clean it that way. That would be pretty easy, right?
Everything that I did prior was pre-crypto anyway.
You own crypto now?
I don't want to get too much into crypto conversation.
You scared of the IRS?
No. So there's a lot of politics in the crypto world that I'm in. I'm the creator of some of the most known and biggest tokens, something that most people don't know. I'm also the faceless person behind bringing crypto to the social life. So any socialite or interesting social aspects that crypto now has, I am the faceless soul who brought that here. And by doing that, what had happened was other people had the opportunity to take credit for it or put their face in my faceless slot.
Why, you didn't want it? You didn't want credit for doing work in that space?
Well, the thing is, I didn't know enough about crypto, and I would say I still don't. And I also, being so new to social media, didn't have a public reach in any means, right? I was always so private in my life that these people easily could fill those slots for the benefit of the greater goal, right? The immediate greater goal. But what had happened moving forward from there, which I didn't understand until it was too late, is now these faces now get to take all of the credit and future benefit from it, while I never do. So while I'm sitting here in the shadows and I'm watching essentially some of my closest friends making this tremendous fortune off the work that I did bringing them into this light, and I kept saying, where's mine?
Right.
And they'd say, oh, we'll let you know about the next one. I said, what are you talking about? I gave you the first one. And so there's a lot of internal conflict I have about crypto. But because I'm still internally conflicted about it, I don't publicly speak about my position or which ones or things like that. And I'm super, super limited, even on social media, to even acknowledging the existence of crypto or which ones.
Wow. Okay. Well, yeah. Let's keep it vague. Can we talk about that? You'll tell me what coins you were involved in creating off camera?
Yeah, I'll tell you off camera.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Was gambling always a pastime of yours throughout the years that you were doing this rehab shit?
All right, here we go. So this is the part that I love now.
Okay.
Now let's talk about some gambling.
This is the shit you like?
I love it.
Were you always into gambling, or like when did that become a thing?
All right. So I come from a thick bloodline of really high stakes gamblers. Way before my time, my family owned casinos, all of this, right? I will say this as a preface. So people on my social media, first of all, most people on social media are idiots, right? And the things they comment, I'm like, what planet are you from where that's a reality, right? And a common theme that people try to hate on about is that I must be employed by casinos to try to convince people that you can win and that gambling is cool and come. None of that is true. I hate casinos so much that I hope they burn down while the executives are in the building, right? And you could definitely quote me on that.
I won't have to. You just said it on a podcast.
So, my family did used to own casinos before my time and all this. So starting really young, I was introduced to the concept of gambling, right? I started gambling when I was like 8 years old or something like that. But on like, like more of a reasonable level, like, play for a couple dollars. I started by learning with coins. I'd bet, 10 cents, something like this. We'd all have coins. And that's how I started to understand the rules of different games. When I was like 11 and 12, which is the same time I started selling drugs, my community is made up of all either wealthy Jews or Italian mobsters, right? So I spent a lot of time around these families, and the Jews in my neighborhood were being bar mitzvahed and bat mitzvahed when they were 13, and basically they all were getting like $100,000 in cash gifts. So at 13 years old, half my town at 13-year-olds had $100,000 and no bills because their families were rich anyway.
I would always hear this about the bar mitzvahs and shit. Like, these kids just getting offensive amounts of money. And I'm like, why the fuck wasn't I born Jewish?
Yeah. Well, I was born Jewish. I am Jewish, but I didn't have a bar mitzvah like that.
Damn, really?
I had a super traditional, like, religious bar mitzvah. No party, no gifts, no money.
Wow.
Yeah. But so there was the Italian mobster half of my town, and then there was like the rich Jews half of my town. And between the two, everybody had money, and everybody was just like walking certain fine lines, So I started gambling. We started housing our own underground casinos, and our family, my parents actually hate gambling. They're the only ones in my family. But every other family of all my friends super supported it. I used to gamble against my friends' parents all the time. One time I beat my friend's dad so bad in a card game that he ran out of money and had to write me a check. And he goes, "Hey, can you not deposit this until such and such a day?" And started housing these underground casinos. And it's just what we did in the neighborhood, It was the cool thing to do, was to be invited and gamble at one of these events, We did it every single day after school. It's all we did. And at this time, we're playing like anywhere from like $100 to $1,000 a hand, and we're 12, some of us were 11, 12, 13, 14 years old, playing $1,000 hands of blackjack. And we'd have, 5 poker tables, 3 blackjack tables, we'd play some dice games. We used to gamble so much we'd invent our own card games because we were getting burnt out.
Hey, if you enjoyed this clip and you want to see more, this is our new Clips channel. Help us get to 10,000 subscribers. Hit subscribe down below. Appreciate y'all.